Hey, Pastor Luke, ready for the interview?
Yes.
This could be tough. Think you could dance in the ring with a UFC fighter?
Sure. What, you think because I'm a preacher, I'm a pushover?
Well, yeah.
I could be a fighter. Believe me. Yeah. I could be a fighter.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the main event? From the deserts of Arizona, weighing 125 pounds, the youngest Olympic gold medalist for wrestling, who has 10 wins in UFC competition, or by knockouts, the UFC Fightweight Champion Contender. It's Henry, the Messenger, Cejudo. From the cornfields of Iowa. Cornfields of Iowa. That sounds intimidating. Anyway, he's never been in the ring before. He's making his debut, but he sure sips a mean latte. Weighing in at 162 pounds of muscle, it's Pastor Luke, the Butcher Barnett. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble? Okay, this is the way it's going to be. Messenger, Butcher, Butcher. You couldn't even cut your steak when you was a kid. But come here. But let's have a fair, good fight. Touch gloves.
I must break you.
Go for it.
This is supposed to be my fantasy, where I knock my opponent out, not my nightmare.
All right, Rock, you got him, Rock.
Butcher.
Okay, Butcher, you're a finely tuned instrument, Rock. You can,
Butcher.
You can do this, man. I know it. You can be a contender. I know it's coming. In fact, this guy here, he's a chump. He's a chump, Rock. You can take him. Okay, Butcher. And hey, you're the butcher. I'm the baker. We got the candlestick maker next. Take him, baby. You got it. Go, go, go. Go, go, Rock. Go, Butcher.
Say your prayers, preacher.
Not so fast. You. We got you, buddy. Hey, you're good. Right here. We are the greatest of all time.
Pastor Luke.
Oh, don't mess with me. I'm the Butcher. Oh, sorry, what was your question?
Are you ready for the interview?
Yes. Yes, I am. Well, Henry, we're so grateful that you've taken time to do this interview today, and I'll just say to all of our church family that Henry was very respectful before that last scene we did. You're always saying, I don't want to touch God's anointed and her God's anointed, but that was all just a show. But thank you for taking the time. You mentioned that growing up, Father's Day wasn't your favorite holiday of the year, and talk about why that is and your upbringing a little bit.
I'm one of 7 kids raised by Mexican immigrants. My mom was a courageous woman who loved God. My father, on the other hand, loved God but had an addiction with drugs and alcohol. Pretty much practically my whole life, I grew up without a father.
Since it's Father's Day, what would you say the fathers of Dream City?
Yeah, I think people make mistakes. I think even in my father's situation, the fact that he picked drugs and alcohol over his family, I think people make mistakes. I think it's time to make it right. I think God deserves it. I think your kids deserve it. I'm okay. I grew up without a father, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
But it would help to have a father.
Yeah. Thinking about your career, you're a young man, and yet you've already accomplished so much. You were the youngest wrestling gold medalist for the Americans, and a great collegiate wrestler. And then recently, you fought for the World Championship in the UFC and against Mighty Mouse. In just a moment, I'm going to be talking to the church about getting up after they've been knocked down. A real encouraging message. And for the first time, you experienced a little knockdown, in that fight. And talk about your experience, and what would you say to people who feel like they've been knocked down?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think being a gold medalist, being undefeated as a fighter, and then losing in a championship in the first round, it's in some sense it's really discouraging. It's hurtful, not just physical, but the emotional side of things. So it's almost like every fighter, every fighter has a spirit. And when your spirit gets shut down, it kind of becomes a domino effect. And you see it throughout a lot of fighters when, for instance, when Roy Jones got knocked out, it kept happening, kept happening, kept happening. I think of somebody like the Apostle Paul. And I know when he was in prison in Rome, and a lot of people take this text out of context. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me or gives me strength. And he's talking about he's suffering, but he's content with what God has given him.
Right.
It's not that he wants more, but he's content because he's given his all. And I'm in that similar situation where I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know what? I lost the fight, but I didn't lose the battle.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much bigger things for me than just the cage, than just championships or rings or gold medals. Yeah. It's using the platform that God has given me for the greater good.
Now, a lot of people, they don't understand the relationship between an MMA fighter and a follower of Jesus Christ. So can you speak to that issue for just a moment? I'm sure you've been asked that question before.
No, absolutely. I've always referred, and I've always joked around. I was like, I'm a UFC fighter. I fight in the cage. I fight against another human being. And I think of somebody like Saul who killed thousands, and then like David who killed tens of thousands. Like, I'm not killing nobody. I just use the platform that God has given me, and I really just fight for the mic. I really fight for the camera. I fight to inspire those who are lost, who just believe it's about money, fame, and maybe women or drugs. So I'm able to captivate and fight in front of 25,000 people, and be able to share, who Jesus Christ is and what He's done.
That's awesome.
I think that's what I look forward to. It's not so much the fight, but what I'm able to do after the fight. That's going to make this world a better place.
And you've just always been a church guy, and you've always had the priority of putting God first in your life. I've always admired that about you, Henry.
No, I appreciate it, Pastor, but it wasn't always like that. I was a very selfish person, especially being in a sport like wrestling where it's one-on-one combat. I thought my purpose was to be the best in the world. And it's not until it actually hits you, it's like, hey man, this is something that's temporary. Like, this life isn't about you. And the way I picture, I call it joy. It's Jesus, others, you. But before it was the other way around. It was me, others, and then Jesus. Yeah. So, but things tend to change, and I think through the pain that I've gone through, it's produced passion for Christ.
We always try to teach our kids that when you put God first, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, then all these other things will be added unto you. We want you to know, Henry, that we love you. We pull for you. The Barnett family, you're one of our heroes, and we just really admire you for all that you're doing for the kingdom. And Dream City Church is going to keep cheering you on and pulling for you and praying for you. Thanks, Henry. Bless you, man.